Can I trust this guy? That's a question you're going to ask yourself over and over and over again as you interact with people, either here or back home. I want to stick with the Philippines and some of the dynamics that come into play when meeting people and deciding whether or not you bring them into your inner circle or do you end up pushing them away. That's the point that I'm going to make with my friend Mike in the upcoming video. Alrighty, so like I said in the introduction, I'm here with my buddy Mike, and we're going to talk a little bit about friendships and a circle of friends and what has happened to you since you've gotten here in the Philippines when it comes to meeting people, greeting people, and eventually bonding with them. What levels do you hit?
You know, when you first get here, there's a feeling of wanting to be accepted and be part of the group. You want to be in the know. You want to be, you know, somebody when you walk, you want to be that Norm from Cheers. Hey, Norm, hey, Mike, when you show up somewhere.
Right.
And you want to be popular. You don't want to be the most popular person, but you want to be accepted. You want people to, you know, like you. You know, it's just human nature. And when you first get here, or at least me, when I first got here, a little bit too much. You know, trying to be friends with everybody.
You were overeager?
Yeah, overeager.
Okay.
And I would, if I said something stupid, and I'm known for putting foot in mouth, saying something I shouldn't, it's been a problem my whole life. I would stay up at night thinking, oh my God, I said that. And nobody else thinks that, but I do. Yeah. Trying to please everybody. And it's wearing after a while. Because you really don't know people here. And I mention this a lot. When you make friends anywhere, it takes years to become good friends, decades, you know, classmates, coworkers, and you're not going to make great friends here in the first 90 days. You're going to make a lot of acquaintances, a lot of people, and hopefully they turn into great friends. You know, you anticipate that. But as time goes by, many different things change. Your opinion, it could be as simple as religion and politics, which are not simple, or it can be just how you treat life in general, or your respect for money or other people is just different. And everybody can't like everybody. And the circle of friends that I developed when I first got here is different than the circle of friends I have now. The circle of friends I had when I first started YouTube is way different now. When I first started YouTube, there was a lot of, I want to get accepted by the YouTube community. You know, I would reach out to different people. The only smart thing I did was I waited until I was a little bit bigger. I didn't go out, you know, the second day I did a YouTube video and say, I'm a YouTuber, I want in the community. I let my channel get established a little bit, get a few thousand subscribers, and then reach out to the community. And I found that some people didn't like me. Some people did. Was it jealousy? No, it was just plain, I don't like that guy. And sometimes you think it's you, but sometimes it's just them not wanting to accept somebody new.
So being a people pleaser, has that been something that's been with you your whole life? Or is it something that got exaggerated when you came over here?
It got exaggerated here. Back home, back in the States, I didn't care about people. If you weren't part of my immediate life, my day-to-day life, I didn't really care. People dropped something in the grocery store. I wasn't the first one to drop down and pick it up for them. Where here, once I got to Phil, I was. You know, I was trying to be overly friendly to be more accepted.
What do you think drove that?
The different life. I wanted to be a different person.
Okay.
You know, the person you are back home and the person you are here, we're not all saints. And, you know, no, I don't have felony convictions and all this, but there are things I've done that I'm proud of. You know, you're just not proud of everything I've done in my complete life. I'm 70 years old. There's a lot of life there. And when I came here, I said, I want to be a good person when I get here.
Did you pick up, like me, he said convictions?
Not many convictions. The felony end.
They're charged lots of times.
Many. None of them stuck. Teflon Don. But yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
a lot of us have there's things you do wrong in life, and
Hmm.
you can't change what you did
No.
when you were 30
No.
or 40.
No.
And you just hope when you come here you can be a better person. And
Mhm.
at least I wanted to be
Mhm.
a better person. And sometimes I try too hard,
Mhm.
and that rubs the wrong way on some people
Mhm.
because they can see through the fake.
Yeah.
That's not him. He's just faking that smile, or he's
Mhm.
faking that hello.
Mhm.
And
So what about the folks that you've encountered? Have a lot of them, or just a few of them, or some? I don't know. You can pick it. Disappointed you?
more disappointed me recently when
Okay.
more on the social media end, things that come up on social media.
Uh-huh.
I think Jan and I sometimes can be an easy target for people who we thought were friends.
Mm-hmm.
And also, people who we thought were friends had an agenda.
Mm.
And that agenda was more for information, to meet one of Janet's friends or something. They weren't true friends. They had alternative motives.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody trying to sell me a car. Why are you trying to sell me a car? Because they're
Mhm.
going to make a commission on
Mhm.
it. There's just not. There's a lot of people out here who have different reasons for wanting to be your friend,
Mm-hmm.
and very few contact me in the morning and say, "Good morning, Mike. How you doing?"
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when Monte, first one to do that, he reached out one morning and said, "Hey, Mike, this is Monte. How are you?"
Mm-hmm.
And he became, a good friend for a while. But things change,
Uh-huh.
and life changes, and he's
Yep.
going through a lot of issues in his life.
Right.
Jan and I are going through a lot of issues, and we're not as close as we used to be.
Right.
Nothing against him,
Nope.
nothing me. It's just life changes,
Uh-huh.
and it changes here in the Philippines.
Yeah. So, do you and Janet, do you have little powwows here at the house and discuss your day and maybe who you've encountered?
Me and her?
Yeah.
No,
No.
we
Really?
because we're pretty well tied at the hip.
Okay.
And meeting new people, it'll be more somebody we meet through a video chat, or we'll meet through a Facebook conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But we do have powwows about after we meet somebody that I don't like that person.
The same dynamic exists
Same.
with me.
Yeah.
In my household.
And Janet's radar is much better than mine.
Amen. Same. May's got a BS detector that's a much better and more sharper than my own.
She warns me that's not a good person, or
Mhm.
that relationship's no good.
Mhm.
And it could be hints from the girl,
Mm-hmm.
just the way they treat each other. And usually she's more right than wrong. 3 months later, they're not together anymore. Or the guy, just turned into a jerk and not part of our life anymore.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest miscalculation you've made, without naming names, of an individual, the one person or persons that let you down the most? And on the flip side, which ones were you wrong about that you thought were, not your type, and then you found out they were really nice people or a person? That's a two-parter.
Wow, that's a two-parter.
I know.
It's the ones with an agenda that really disappoint me the most. When we first meet them and everything's going, and you got to remember, Jan and I are very strong in our YouTube business. There's a reason we do this, and we meet a lot of people just to do interviews in the past and make friendships out of these people. And I found a lot of times once that interview was over, yeah, we hung out for a while, we were friends for a while, but then that ended the friendship.
Mhm.
There's no reason. Well, we already did that interview, so they're from both sides. It just didn't work.
So you
out.
had an agenda. They had an agenda. And you both got what you wanted from it. And then you moved on because there wasn't that much common ground after that, other than doing a video or getting.
Yeah. You would hope a friendship would develop out of it, but it's just not there. And a lot of it is age. I'm 70. A lot of these guys here are 40, 50, 60. Mm-hmm. 60 to 70 is a big age difference. I wouldn't have thought that. But people who retire here 62, under 65, they're much better off physically in most cases. Mm-hmm. They're much more active, and we don't have that much in common. Mm-hmm. I'm a married guy. I'm a resident. I live here. whatever city you're in the U.S. If you're in Parma, Ohio, you're a resident of Parma. I'm a resident of Dumaguete,
Right.
and I live here. So some people, it's the traveling or going down to the beach or spending nights, going out for dinner every other night. I don't do that. My life is that of the old man. I hate to
Correct.
say that, but I'm older, and a lot of things I don't want to do. We have some great friends. Don't get me wrong. Once we have a good friend, they're a good friend for life, I hope. And a lot of them don't have agendas. Some do. I consider you a good friend, and we have an agenda of doing videos together. But it's more of there's so many more other times when that's not the agenda.
Oh yeah, that greatly outweighs the time we sit down to do a video. You and I hang out a lot, and we chat down here every morning.
Oh, we're
we
talking
shoot the
about
shit.
everybody in the world.
Yeah,
we're the
gossiping.
biggest gossips. Bud Brown, if he ever watches this, man, his ears should have been burning today.
He's in trouble.
Everything. What he said about Gloria. I'm joking. But my circle of friends, we used to invite a lot of people to our house. When we lived in the old house, we would have people who were just here for a week. We would invite them up to the house and let them relax. Janet would cook for them. I'm not going to do that anymore. It isn't worth. There's nothing in return. It's a one-way street 90% of the time.
How are you handling people that want to meet you for coffee, for lunch, to get together? And do you find that to be intrusive, or do you find that to be something you look forward to?
We used to look forward to it a lot. And now I don't find it intrusive, but I find it inconvenient because people who travel here, and we want to really meet everybody if we can, but they're only here for one day. And that would be the day that PJ has a doctor appointment, or it's a school activity, or I'm not feeling well. A lot of those things happen. And the newest thing lately is, well, two things. One, I can't do anything at night anymore.
Right.
We went to a wedding, and reception, and it was hell driving home in the dark.
Right.
And I don't have a car. I drive on a motorbike with Janet, and it was tough.
Right. I do lunch. I'll do morning, but I won't do dinner unless, like you said, it's a wedding and we feel compelled that we needed to go. And so I think that your shift has got to do with what you originally said in the beginning of the video, is that in the beginning you were quite the people pleaser. And I think that you've kind of weaned yourself off of that, and you simply matured and feel more comfortable within your own skin. You realize you don't have anything to prove. Man once told me, Paul, don't worry what people think about you, because they seldom do. You know, so they're thinking about themselves. And I love that piece of advice, because there's people that, like you said, you would come home and you would harbor, you couldn't sleep that night because you said something, or the guy didn't like you, or they misinterpreted you, or you could have done it differently.
They're not thinking of it.
And they're not, that's came and went. They're not thinking about you any more than they're thinking about the man on the moon. So what do you think that when people are coming over here, how do you think they should approach making friends? Is it the same as you would in the States, or is there a different dynamic here in the Philippines?
I think here you want to make acquaintances. And out of the acquaintances, you'll make friends. And a lot of it has to do with if you end up with a girlfriend or a wife. If the girls don't like each other, it's going to be hard to maintain a strong relationship with the guy.
Correct.
Because it's a couple, it's two couples, and usually the girls don't get along, and to me it just doesn't seem to work out that well. The other thing, when you get here, make sure what makes you happy, and sit down. You buy someone a cup of coffee or a beer, and you say, hey, can I join you? And you have a conversation. And slowly these become friends. That's how we met the first time. I think the first time we met was to do a video. I don't think we met.
I don't even remember. To be honest with you.
We met at Monte's birthday party.
That's right.
But we didn't talk much, because we didn't know each other. And then we met up to do a video together. And from then we've been, I miss you.
Yeah.
You know,
Same back at you.
yeah, yeah. So you just develop a friendship with somebody, and it'll happen organically.
Do you think it's more prevalent over here in the Philippines? Is it because I think it is, because I'll tell you why. I think number one, we have more time. We have more idle time. We're not showing up at the office or the factory or wherever it is that we work. We don't have any kids that we're necessarily raising or putting through school. I know you've got PJ,
Yeah.
but there's a big priority shift as far as your free time and what are you going to do today and how social are you? And we all have agendas, so the agenda may not be, I want to meet this guy so I can do a video with him.
Right.
It might be because I want to meet this guy because he seems like an interesting person.
It could be.
You know, or he sounds like somebody that would have a funny story, or he's got some knowledge that I think I could use.
Pick
And
the
that's
brain
me
a little
being
bit.
selfish.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me having my agenda.
Yeah.
But I do that a lot more out here than I ever did in the States. And primarily because I just didn't have the time. And most of my friends were married. I was married. And you go home and you know, that's that time of your life where you're raising the family and everybody's going to school and the wife's working and you're working or vice versa.
I think back home, you lived there. A lot of people come here that you meet, they're just here for a couple of days. They're just not here. Where back home, when guys were retired, I know they would go up to the McDonald's, read the paper, and get a cup of coffee. And it'd be the same 4, 5, 6 guys in the corner, but they lived there. And they're going to see each other this year, next year, and the year after. Here, it's so transient. The people that come into town and leave town, you're a little bit more guarded because of the transit. And another big thing is the sickness. It's so easy at my age now to get ill when you meet a bunch of people at one time. If I go to dinner and there's 6 to 8 people there, I come home and sometimes I'm not well.
Right.
So I have to take care of that. And it's because people travel from all over the world. You've been to different cities and, you bring in different germs. Just like when you first came here, you're sick when you get off the plane.
You got the Philippines cough.
Yeah. You
get that respiratory problem.
Yeah.
From all the pollens and the allergens and the pollution and all that kind of stuff.
So it isn't so much the person I'm meeting. It's what happens to me because of the meetings, with the health. Meeting people for coffee, it's great if it's a day that I can make it. And I don't know how many times I'm in town just for one day. And I can't fit you in and I feel bad, but I can't make it. The best meetings I have and they close Tom Tom's, and I'm sorry about that, was I'll be at Tom Tom's for 3 hours on Saturday, and people would just show up and would chit-chat.
Right.
Well, we don't have the luxury of that one establishment anymore.
Right.
And other places aren't conducive to hanging out all day long. They're smaller venues for coffee and meetings. So I don't want to sound like I don't want to meet people. I do want to meet people. I think it's a great inspiration that people come here, especially when they're subscribers. They've been loyal followers of the channel and watching our channels. I do want to meet them. But I think once they live here, that's when you separate the acquaintances from the friends. And Dumaguete is like 5 boroughs, like New York has Queens and Brooklyn. We have Darwin. We have Valencia. We have the north side of town, Subalan. We have downtown Dumaguete, where people don't travel. They go to...
They're territorial.
Yeah, they go to Valencia for their coffee and lunch, and Darwin goes to Darwin for their lunch and dinner. And it's hard to go and meet up and catch up with people every day. So those special friends you see once in a while, and you enjoy the time you spend with them.
Have you ever been really burned by anybody? Financially or
Financially,
emotionally
I got
or whatever?
that $200 in counterfeit money I got from one guy. He was here for just a week, and he said he was having trouble cashing these 2 bills. And since I had a dollar account, I thought, well, I'll change it for you, and I'll just deposit my dollar account. I deposited it. A couple weeks later, I went into the bank and they go, sir, we have a problem, and show me that I had counterfeit money.
The last thing I'll end on, would you agree with this, is that the one reason why I think it's pretty easy to just sort of strike up a conversation with a stranger here as opposed to back home is the commonality that we're all expats or foreigners.
Yes.
So you see some dude sitting by himself and you can just walk up and say, hey, I'm Paul, I'm from Vegas, I just noticed you're here. I hope I'm not interrupting you, but where are you from? What's your name? What brought you here?
Mhm.
Or if he doesn't want to talk, it's like, sorry, I disturbed you. But would you agree that that's pretty much a pretty cool little dynamic that we all share, kind of birds of a feather,
Yes.
All of us got on a plane and flew a great distance to get over here.
And expats love to tell you what's going on. They love to talk.
Yep.
Or they wouldn't be in that coffee shop.
Right.
They'd do something else.
Right.
And they love to tell you their points of view, what they think is the best place to exchange your money, the best bank, the best lawyer if you need a lawyer, or a real estate agent. You can get plenty of advice and strike up conversations. It's two different conversations. The one is your close friends. You keep your close friends close.
Right.
The circle of close friends, people who you share your intimate details of, like, afterlife, and got a problem with my wife, but I don't want everybody in the world to know about it.
Right.
You have that close group of friends that you need. Then you have another group of friends that you can joke with. You sit around for a couple hours and enjoy the day, and you go about your own business. And then you have the people who are total strangers who you just want to meet and get to know them, say hello, and see what develops out of that. But it takes time to become inner circle type close friends.
All right. Well, I guess that's a video.
I think
you
so.
got anything else you'd want to add to it?
Hey, hit me up on Facebook if you're coming in. Janet answers these Facebooks about us meeting. And if you're spending more than one day, wait till you're here. Let me know you're here. A lot of people give, I'm going to be there in October. Can I meet with you for dinner? Well, it's easy for me to say yes, but I don't know what's going on in October.
Right.
So please don't think of me as being cold on wanting to meet people, but we have a life, and we're raising PJ. And
are you happy with your life here?
I am happy with my life as a whole. I could be happier, but I could be less happy, if things were different. My relationship's strong, financial, everything's going good. A couple bad choices I made in life. And this, you want to know, those are, check out Paul's video we did on buying land and a house.
Oh, yeah. I'll put that up as the next selected video.
But,
all right.
No regrets. No regrets.
Cool. All right, crazy people. We'll see you in the next video.